Hello, and thanks for tuning in. You are tuning into the Dream is Real podcast. This is the place where if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest in New York real estate, you have come to the right place. Today, I am with Patrick Halpin. Welcome, Patrick.
Thank you.
You are the agent and owner, I believe, of Purdy Good Coverage Corp. Is that right?
I'm the office manager of the office, partner with a gentleman by the name of Kevin Purdy, and Purdy Good Coverage. My kids joke about it all the time. Dad, why can't we afford excellent coverage? I tell them when they're paying the bill, they don't have to be with Purdy Good Coverage anymore. They can go with excellent coverage.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Before we get started, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. We are growing this podcast and looking forward to bringing you more great material. So the obviously insurance, big part of any real estate transaction. But before we even get to there, tell us a little bit about you, your background, maybe how you got into the industry.
Yeah, thanks. I grew up in upstate New York, a small town west of the city of Syracuse. Met my future wife at Syracuse University. She was studying to be a teacher. She made it very clear that based on the winters up there, as soon as her 4 years was over, she was coming back to Long Island. Sure does. She was a native of Locust Valley, so up on the North Shore of Nassau County. We moved back to the area about 30 years ago now, and 4 kids later, a few different careers. My biggest career before insurance was in the IT staffing industry. I kind of fell into insurance on an accident. A candidate that I helped find a job from out of state asked if I could help him out with some insurance, and I said I made a big fee, so I might as well see if I can do something for him. I reached out to a local insurance person, helped him set up insurance, and he goes, you'd be really good at this. And I said, all right, I'll give it a try. And now 10 years later, still doing insurance and not doing as much IT staffing anymore, and fell in love with it.
Did you find that anything from your previous career came over? Are there any type of attributes that are helpful?
Definitely. Working, with people, you have to have strong people skills. You have to be able to relate. I always tell people when you're dealing with someone, you have to put yourself in their shoes and do what is best for them, not necessarily for yourself. And that's been true of everything I've done in life. And it's carried over into the insurance world. I don't just, sell a policy to sell a policy. I make proposals to people to help protect them, because that's ultimately what insurance is for, and hopefully leave them in a better position than before I met them.
So you specialize in several types of insurance. Where would you say you make your mark?
Yeah, I'm mostly a personal line insurance person. So what that consists of are autos, homes, renters, condos, co-ops, umbrella policies, which is something that every homeowner should look into and probably have. The office does life insurance and retirement type stuff, but that's not my specialty, although it is something that the office can offer people.
Have you seen any trends in the insurance industry, whether it be through rates or changes in legislation?
Yeah, trends all over the place. When a tough economy comes, people get desperate. You get hit from behind where you would have just said, I got hit from behind, no big deal, let's, move on. Now people all of a sudden have neck problems and whiplash, and, they look at it as a potential lottery ticket to make up for, shortcomings that they may have in their own personal budget. Also, when that happens, prices go through the roof, and everything's regulated by the Department of Finance here in New York, so they start handing down rate changes, and then we get to be the Grim Reaper to let people know and try to explain to them and try to find missing discounts or ways to revise their policy to not lose coverage but minimize their cost.
So you try to find creative ways to make the insurance side more affordable.
No doubt. You always have to, again, think of your client, think what's best for them, not just sell cookie cutter stuff, but really customize it to what they truly need.
Hi, my name is Tyrone. I'm the owner and trainer here at Fly Fitness. We work with children of all ages, sports specific training, soccer, basketball, lacrosse, football, you name it, we do it here. We also work with the beginner, the person that has never been in the gym before. We get you from point A, point B, and we take you through the alphabet of training. We also do rehab, ankles, back, knees, shoulders. The older we get, the more fragile we are. So those things that I just mentioned, those are things that we're definitely going to need help with. That's what we specialize in here at Fly Fitness. Come and join us.
So let's talk a little bit about property insurance. Somebody who is either maybe, obviously, if you own a home, you need to have property insurance, or if you're buying a home, what are some tips that you could give someone in terms of looking for the right policy for them?
Yeah, great question. Talk to multiple people that do what I do. Don't just look at the policy that they're trying to sell you. Ask yourself, am I comfortable with the person that's presenting this policy? Because at the end of the day, although it's not in black and white, it's very important to the process. Make sure someone spends the time with you to help you understand what the coverages mean. Don't just say, here's a policy and, this is what it costs. If they don't want to explain to you what dwelling coverage means, what, additional structures mean, if they don't want to talk about liability coverage, personal property, if they don't want to talk to you about some of the other a la carte things that can be added, like water backup or service lines, jewelry as a rider, they're probably not the right person for you.
So let's delve into that a little bit here, since we have the opportunity, right? Sure. What are some of the unique needs that homeowners might have that they may not even know that they have, that where somebody like you that's cognizant of the education portion of it could bring to the table?
Well, everybody knows about the protection for their house. Depending on the age of the house, there's something called ordinance law, which if the ordinance changed, so when the house was originally built, you needed a 2x4 for this piece of the building, and now you need a 2x6. And I don't want to get too technical because I'm not a builder by any stretch of the imagination, but you need different stuff that costs more. If someone didn't bring that to your attention on an older house and talk to you about getting that coverage, you might find yourself, if you have a big loss, of having to pull money out of your pocket, even though you had the right protection, but you didn't have the coverage to make up for changes in the law that require different building standards than when your house was built. Insurance replaces your house with like, kind, and quality. So if you have a house that was built in 1920, you're going to get money to replace what the standards were in 1920, even though those ordinance laws may have changed. If you don't have that coverage on your policy, unknowing to you, you could find yourself short.
Just so I understand you correctly, and same for our audience, that kind of out of the box coverage itself will replace what you have, but what you have may not be relevant to the ordinances that have changed over the years. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. Otherwise, people would insure their house for $30 million and, lo and behold, their house would catch on fire and be gone, and they would build a $30 million mansion. So
right.
Insurance replaces what you lost, and brings up another good thing that's worth talking about. Once a year, you should run through your house with your cell phone and video everything that you have. Not spend a lot of time on it, but just form a baseline of what's in your house, your apartment, your condominium, whatever it may be. Upload that video to the cloud. So God forbid, if that loss comes and they say, how many televisions did you have? You can bring out the video and you can show them the video tour that you did and prove that you have the items that you're claiming to have had.
Would it be good best practice to do that every time you have somewhat of a major purchase, or
no, and I'll tell you why. Most people buy their major purchases on a credit card, so you've got a paper trail of that major purchase. once a year is probably more than enough. When you're changing the battery in your smoke detector, do a video tour of your house. Otherwise, it can get crazy. You don't have to videotape everything.
Otherwise, it's overkill. Okay, got it. So when you're talking about homeowners insurance versus co-op versus condo, what are some of the differences that you need to take a look at?
The basic structure of all those policies is the same. You need coverage to protect the structure itself. In a condo or co-op, you own from the studs or the sheetrock in, so you don't necessarily need coverage for the building, but you do still need coverage for improvements that you may have done to your unit. You may have put in new floors, you may have put in new cabinets, you may have redone a bathroom. You would need coverage for that because the master policy that the condo or co-op board has only covers the structure the way it was when the building was initially built. Some of the other things, personal property is important. Doesn't cost a lot to have more personal property coverage than you actually have. So I always encourage people, overestimate your personal property, to go from a couple $100,000 worth of personal property to go from 300, 400 may cost you an extra $5 a year. So it's a no-brainer just to make sure that you're fully covered. Liability insurance is another super important thing. Most people don't realize it, but someone gets hurt on your property, they're suing you. I mean, family's strong bonds, but when money starts to come involved in things, you run the risk. So having, good liability coverage, and that's the umbrella product that I talk about. That's an excess liability that kind of sits over everything you have. So it would sit over your house, your autos, your boat, your motorcycle. So if someone sues you for more than the coverage that you have on the policy, it's usually sold in $1 million increments. This umbrella will kick in and make you a little bit more Teflon.
So you typically have you have the casualty insurance side, the liability insurance side, and the umbrella. Is that more so to fill in the gaps?
No, that's to protect you for a large loss.
Okay.
And it's one policy that goes over all your other policies. That's why it's called an umbrella. So if you had a bad car accident and someone sues you for more than the coverage you have, the umbrella would kick in. If you had someone, especially if you own a pool, someone's overusing your pool, God forbid they get hurt, they sue you. Now you'd have insurance coverage not only from your homeowner's policy, but from your umbrella as well.
Got it. What are some other types of insurance or riders that may be obscure to the layperson, but that you would point out as a need?
Yeah. Water backup's a big one. What water backup is, if you have a sewer, you flush your toilet or you turn the water on your sink and it leaves your house, there's a big storm and that sewer system gets overflowed. Water finds the path of least resistance. It's going to come back in your pipe. And if you've got a slop sink in the basement or you've got a bathroom in your basement, that water is going to start bubbling up. There's no coverage for that unless you have this water backup rider.
See, that's interesting because I think most homeowners would assume that their policy it covers that. Like I'm thinking about my policy right now. I don't know whether I'm covered for that or not.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to talk.
Yeah, you know what they say about assume. It makes an ass out of you and me.
Right.
Never. Insurance is not a very glamorous business. When you talk to someone about insurance, it's dry. It's like, yeah, okay. But
you don't want it until you need it.
You don't want it until you need it. And that's the point. And then when you need it, whatever you have on paper at the time of that loss is what's going to rule your life. You can change it for the future, but that loss that you may have may be so crippling that your financial future, could be in a state of disrepair that you might never recover from it.
Got it. So water backup. What else do we not know that we don't know?
Yeah, there's a new, not new coverage, but there's a coverage that's becoming a lot more vogue right now called service line coverage, especially as Long Island homes get older. You have lines that are buried. They may be that sewer line. It may be a water line. You may have your electric lines buried under the ground. From the point a sewer line leaves the main sewer system and goes under your ground until it hits your house, that's a dead man zone. There's no coverage on that. So that pipe bursts and you got to spend $10,000 digging up your front lawn, figuring out where it broke and replace it. If you don't have something called service line coverage, you're footing that bill. The sewer company's not going to cover it. If the pipe bursts in the street, they'll cover it. But if it bursts under your property, it's on you.
Another assumption problem, right? Most of us might think that the sewer company is going to take care of it, the municipality. That's not the case.
Well, and municipalities have been realizing this. I live up in the Glen Cove area, and the city of Glen Cove sent out notices to all their homeowners to make it clear to them that this is not covered. If those lines break, the city's not involved, and they even recommended to the homeowners look into getting service line coverage for your house just to know that if that disaster comes, you've got coverage for it.
What would be some of the causes of a break?
Time. As things get older, they become more brittle, they heat up, they cool down and freeze, and, they were only built to last so long. You get animals that, might dig in and hit the line and decide, oh, this pipe's nice and warm. Let me try to build a nest, and they break into it. Plant life, roots of trees, do disasters to pipes under the ground. They're looking for water. So if you got a line that's, distributing water in or out, they're going to grow around that, and they're going to try to crack into that pipe and start siphoning off some of that water.
Wow. All right. Well, that's all in the unseen, right? And,
all in the unseen.
And usually if something happens, it's going to happen right before you have a family party or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They make a lot of movies about stuff like that. They did that movie on Long Island with Robert De Niro. I think Meet the Fuckers, where, they had the sewage backup problem. I guess people remember when they happen at the wrong time. They happen all the time. I'd like to say it's when you least expect it, but you never expect something like that. But if it happens before a party, it becomes a lot more memorable.
Sure. Yeah. You talked a bit about the customer first mentality and how that came over to.
Are you a homeowner who is looking to expand your home so you have enough space for everything you need in your home? Or do you want to renovate because the interior just doesn't work for your needs anymore? Or are you someone who's looking for a property, but nothing that you've been looking at really fits what you need? Well, my name is Catherine Serrano Sosa. I'm the founder of Rooted Architecture Studio, and I can help you bring those renovations and adjustments to life. At Rooted Architecture Studio, we focus on creating meaningful, inclusive, client-centric designs for homeowners and investors. We walk you through the whole process of designing construction and making sure that you understand what's going on, but take away all the layers so you can sit back and just focus on the deliverables of what we're designing. We make sure that your non-negotiables are integrated and your wants and needs are integrated to the best of our abilities. So if you are looking to do anything that I just discussed, or just have ideas that you might want to talk about what the possibilities may be, give us a call and reach out through social media as well, and we'll be happy to help you. And if you're looking for a new property, make sure to connect with Dream Select Realty. They're the right people to help you find the right property for you and make sure that your needs are integrated. Or if we're renovating, we can all collaborate together to bring that vision to life.
So tell us a little bit more about Purdy Good Coverage. Maybe what are some of the benefits of working with an agency like yours?
I'm really glad you asked that question. Old school insurance used to be a local agent who got to know you. They started working with you when you were 16, 17 years old. As your life grew and matured, they understood that, and they offered different things to you and helped your protection grow to be in place to impact if you have that loss. Unfortunately, sign of the times, things became fast-tracked, and you got, and I don't want to mention any companies by name, but you know them. They're the companies that 10 minutes will give you a quote, just call us up. you get that 10-minute quote. The next time you call them because you need help on something, you don't get the same person that sold you the policy. You get somebody totally different, maybe in a totally different state. They don't know anything about you. They really know nothing about your policy, and you're trying to figure it out after a 40-minute wait on the phone. Pretty Good Coverage really operates that we get to know our customers. Yeah, we have customers throughout New York State. I mean, I have customers up in Buffalo, New York. I'm not traveling up to Buffalo to meet them. So the beauty of phones and Zoom calls and things like
we
that.
live in a digital age now. Everybody's used to Zoom.
Right. But we still spend that time to get to know them and really give them that, we call it white glove touch. It shouldn't be a white glove touch. It should be standard. But unfortunately in this industry, it's become a differentiator maker that really separates us from a lot of the other companies out there.
So yeah, when somebody has to reach out to you, they have a flood in their basement, or they have God forbid, a fire or something like that. Obviously, it's a stressful time. It's a traumatic time. Can you give some examples of maybe times that you've worked with a customer, a longtime customer, was able to make those situations a little bit less stressful?
Yeah, I mean, I had it just happen last week. I had a customer call me up. Her car was stolen out of her driveway. She gave me a call. My car was stolen. I said,
keys in the ignition, warming up?
I asked that. She said no, of course.
Right.
You give them the benefit of the doubt. You hope that wasn't the case.
Happened to a family member of mine.
I said, did you call the police and put a report in? She goes, no, I called you first. I figured you would know what to do. And I'm like, I thank you. I appreciate that. But, the process, you need to file a police report, and I was able to walk her through the process, and she got to talk to me. I've had her as a client for probably close to 10 years now. And she felt comfortable starting with me because she knows that I'm going to give her a recommendation like she's my mother, like she's my sister, like she's an aunt, whatever it may be. So, made me feel good. Made me wonder why she was calling me before the police. But I guess it made her feel more comfortable, which was fine.
I guess that's a testament to how you make her feel. You call someone who's going to guide you in the right direction.
I hope so. That's the way we view our clients, and we always try to give them the right advice.
Awesome. And we live on an island, right? So we're surrounded.
We do.
We're surrounded by water.
We are.
In the way of flood insurance, have we seen any changes in that side? I know it's there. If you need it, you definitely need it. What's some advice that you could give?
Flood insurance is worth everybody looking into. If you're not in one of the flood areas, you should be able to pick it up fairly inexpensive. We've seen it happen with heavy downpours. Areas that are far away from the water can still have, water rise, and that's not covered in your homeowner policy. You get big puddles outside your basement window and they start pouring through your basement window. That's a flood. If you don't have flood insurance, you don't have any coverage for that. I personally don't deal with a lot of flood insurance. We have a lady in our office that kind of specializes in that. They have been doing a lot of remapping, get an elevation certificate so you get an accurate flood quote for your property, not just the zone that you're in.
Where would somebody get an elevation certificate?
Yeah. If someone's buying a new house, I'm sure you would recommend that they have a full survey done of the property so they know exactly. Yes. If the surveyor's there doing a survey, with all the electronic equipment that they have, they can give you an elevation certificate. And, again, I don't want to speak for them. I don't know what they charge for that, but they could do that at the same time and probably wouldn't be a large expense, especially if you're thinking about getting flood insurance.
Sure. And I know there are some nuances when you look at tropical storms versus hurricanes. Obviously, we are susceptible here on Long Island to the occasional hurricane. We look back at Superstorm Sandy. What advice can you give there?
Yeah, it's funny. You're setting me up for a perfect question here. Superstorm Sandy. So Sandy was not called a hurricane. Because Sandy was not called a hurricane, people's hurricane deductibles didn't come into play, so they didn't have these huge deductibles before they could put in a claim. The last hurricane to hit Long Island, 1986 Gloria. Gloria.
Is that the last official hurricane?
That's
I remember
the
that.
last hurricane that hit Long Island. And I don't want to mislead people. A hurricane could happen tomorrow.
So I think the one before Sandy was what, Elmira, right? That was I guess another superstorm?
Yeah, if they called it a superstorm and didn't categorize it as a hurricane. Hurricane deductibles were put into place to protect insurance companies if there was huge losses. That was when most insurance companies were smaller regional players. They didn't have the stability. Now with very large insurance companies, if a big storm hits Long Island, they're still making money in the Midwest, whatever. They, move some resources over, so they don't necessarily need as much protection to make sure that they don't go out of business. I'm not saying that they're never going to categorize another storm as a hurricane, but it's been a lot of years.
What does that mean for the consumer? Or does it not have any real impact?
I bet you most consumers don't even realize that they have a regular deductible for a burst pipe, for wind damage, for fire. And then they have a hurricane deductible that's a percentage. Some companies will do a 1-2% deductible. The standard in New York is a 5% deductible on hurricane. What that means is it's 5% of whatever their dwelling coverage is. So if you have a very expensive house, it's 5% of what it is to repair that house. So it can be tens of thousands of dollars, but most people don't even realize that.
Got it. So everybody who's listening now and saying, "Let me go look at my policy," where should they start?
So it starts off with coverage A, dwelling, moves down to other structures, personal property, liability coverage, medical coverage, and then somewhere in there talks about an all perils deductible, and it's going to have the hurricane deductible, then it's going to have your regular deductible.
Got it. I'm sure you wouldn't mind if somebody was listening to this, wouldn't mind taking a look at their policy and giving them some advice?
I'm open to review anybody's policy. I can come up with alternatives for them to consider. Majority of the people that I talk to, I don't sell a policy to because I can't find a better policy than what they have. Doesn't mean that they have the best policy possible, and I'm not afraid to tell them, you're only carrying $300,000 worth of liability coverage for $20 more a year. You can have $500,000, so you can get $200,000 extra liability. And I'll make those recommendations to people. I'll check to see if they have that umbrella policy. I'll talk to them about some of those riders that we just talked about, water backup, service lines. And I'll tell them, call your current agent, broker, company, and ask them about those coverages. And if they sound reasonable, add them to your policy.
Awesome. I think that's a testament to what you hit on earlier, is it's looking out for their best interest. And I bet that served you well over there at Purdy.
It's a long road, long play for me. Sooner or later, my price is going to become better than their price. When that day comes, if I've done right by them and I tell them, hey, it's time for you to become my client, makes it a lot easier for them to, give me their routing number and their checking account number and set up a policy with me. So, crazy like a fox, I guess as the saying goes. I'm not going anywhere. I like what I do. If I win your business today, great. If I win your business 5 years from now, even better. One of my best clients, I don't even have a policy in place with him, but I made some good recommendations, and he's referred me, I don't know, last count, 30-something people that I actually wrote business for. So I've made more money off him with never collecting a dime from him, but took care of him right, and he sent people in my direction, and it was a win-win for both of us.
Great book out there called The Go Giver, and that sounds like that's very much your mentality toward business.
I was part of a networking group that the motto was "Givers Gain." It's the same, same philosophy. It's karma, and it may take a while for it to come around. I'm a big believer in it, though. You reap what you sow. Now we're quoting the Bible here, but if you do the right thing, eventually the right thing comes back to you. On the opposite side, you do the wrong thing, the wrong stuff seems to come back to you really quickly.
Fair enough.
So, it's
You reap what you sow. That's absolutely true. Well, yeah. I can see why you're successful with what you do. Your main office is in Amityville?
The main office is in Amityville. We're right on the intersection of Route 110 and the Southern State. So more or less Farmingdale, Massapequa Park. We almost touch all those communities.
But you service all of Long Island, Nassau, Suffolk?
Yeah, we actually service all of New York State, so we're licensed in the state.
You were saying that, yeah.
And I've got clients as far west as Buffalo. I've got them as far north as, right up on the St. Lawrence River. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you're in New York State, reach out to Purdy. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way for them to get a hold of me, they can call my direct line. Please do mention this podcast. We like to track, where people come from, but my phone number is 516-479-6438. And, whoever they get on the phone, whether I'm on another line, anybody in my office can help them out.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. You're listening to the Dream is Real podcast. Again, you want to buy, sell, invest in New York real estate. This is the place. Remember to like, share, subscribe. We've got a lot of great content coming your way. If you want to keep up with us, go to on Instagram and TikTok at Dream Select Realty, or you can follow us on X at Dream Select Homes. If you want to be a part of the program, email us at hometeam@dreamselectrealty.com and just visit our website. Look at all the great properties that we have available at dreamselectrealty.com. Thanks again. Remember, the dream is real, and we will see you next time.